Now, personally, I think anyone who is interested in helping to improve our world in any way should incorporate the social perspective in their work for the maximum result. Otherwise, we should be asking ourselves if we are trying to improve the world for everybody or just our world. Taking this into consideration, ladies and gentlemen, we are now moving forward to the first panel discussion of the conference on social perspective, where our inspiring panelists will be sharing how they are not just improving the lives of people they care about, but everybody's in general. Also with this, the panel discussion will also touch upon the social challenges and in-depth view about social setting that are needed for the development. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together as I invite on stage the moderator of this discussion and the Executive Director of Glocal Private Limited, Mr. Ashish Thakur, who himself is setting an example through his amazing work in the society. Welcome once again, sir. Now I would like to invite all my panelists here on stage, starting from Mr. Prajesh Khanal, an 18 years old founder of I Consume My Oxygen campaign from Nepal. Welcome, Mr. Khanal. Joining him, we have Ms. Maudan Tahori, a 16 years old young social activist from the USA. It's an honor to have you here. Welcome. My sincere apologies to the international attendees if I happen to mispronounce your name. Moving on, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite the winner of YY Glocal Teen Hero 2018, an 18 years old enthusiastic social activist, filmmaker, and YouTuber, Ms. Prasansa Kesi from Nepal. Welcome, Ms. Kesi. I hope you are doing good. Joining them, ladies and gentlemen, we now have a 19 years old passionate social activist from India, Ms. Vidhi Kohli. Please put your hands together for her as she makes her way to the podium. Last but definitely not the least, joining them, we have Mr. Kevin Dennis, a 19 years old Indonesian and ambassador of International MUN and Global Youth MUN 2019. Welcome, Mr. Dennis. Can we please have a huge round of applause for our panelist and moderator once again? Now, to move the social perspective panel forward, I would like to hand over my audience to our moderator.
Thank you, Rupsi. Thank you, technical team. Thank you, everyone, for being here. How are you feeling? Good? How are you guys feeling? Is that loud? That loud? Amazing. Okay, great. So yeah. So what we were talking about, panel discussions, presentations. So we heard the first presentation, and now we are moving over towards the first panel discussions. Though this was scheduled next, as per your schedule that you have, but because of the next moderator, the first moderator, being stuck in the airport at Pokhara, so we have made it to the second panel. So he'll be coming and continuing the second panel. Yeah. So this panel discussion, I want to make it very light because it's morning and everybody is not fully awake. So let's awaken ourselves with socio-perspective, right? So all our perspectives and towards the society and moving towards that. So because they are also not fully awake, so let me mobilize them as well at the first itself. So rather than me introducing them, I'd like to request them to introduce themselves in a different way, in a way that they will tell us their name, they will tell us where they are from, they will tell us their age, and then they will tell us why are they doing what they are doing, right? So why are they doing what they are doing? So let me start with Prajesh and then we'll move forward. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Dai. I'm Prajesh Khanal. I'm 18 years old and I belong to Jhapa district of Eastern Nepal. So you asked a difficult question. Why am I doing what am I doing? At first, when I started my journey of social activism from a child club. In Nepal, there is a system of child clubs. So the government, it promotes child clubs into schools, into municipalities. So I started my journey from a child club. In the beginning, I was engaged. So I did not know why I was engaged. But when I started it, I don't know, I think it became a habit of mine. And then when I started into environment conservation activism from the same child club I belonged to, and then when I started that, I started to see the response from the children. Like I used to walk in a school, it is Himalaya Secondary School, it belongs to Damak municipality of Jhapa. When we started the eco-friendly Himalaya club in that school, I served as the secretary of the club for 1 year, and then as the president. So when we started that, we had an aim of just reducing the plastic wastage, or just making the students throw away wrappers in the dustbin. That was our simple aim. We did not aim something big. That was just as simple as that. So when we started our work on that topic, on that concept, now previously, like when we used to see the children, they were just eating and throwing, and they were just creating mess here and there. But when we started our activities after 6-7 months, that level reduced. Like we used to do school cleanliness weekly, or sometimes in 2 or 3 days. So the amount of waste it went on reducing, and then it was limited, like the waste that used to be in the ground. So we saw the effect. We saw that when we are trying something, we are getting something as a result. So this made me, I think that this made me continue this. And then later on, when we started I Consume My Oxygen, the feedback we got from our seniors, teachers, locals, and then from the government, even the current Prime Minister, KP Sharma Oli, when he was the ex-Prime Minister then, even he got interested in our event and he participated on planting when he was on a tour to Damak. So that gave us a confidence boost, and then we thought that we can share the concept with many people and we can create awareness. So I cannot define it in words what drives me, but it is definitely this love and support that has been making me do this. Thank you.
So one thing to add up, please make this why one why, not multiple whys. Yeah? So you can use that mic, please.
Okay, I'll restart now. Thank you for having me. My name is Maudan Tahori. I am a social activist from the US. I am 16 years old. And as a response to the question why I do what I do, because I believe in the power of youth. I started organizing 2 years ago when there was a big uprising of youth activists in the US, specifically around gun violence prevention. And so I organized a walkout at my school, and that turned into organizing a rally, and that turned into organizing panels, and I just kept going. And I think what I realized through my work is that I wanted to provide infrastructure for youth to change the world. And I believe that we can. And so I am just the person to provide this space to do that.
Hello, everyone. How are you guys doing today? Good? Yeah. So, my name is Prashanta Kesi. I'm from Nepal. I'm 18 years old. I'm a social activist working against child marriage, kidnap marriage, and for the empowerment of the women. So, to tell you the truth, when I was young, I never thought I was going to be a social activist. I saw myself being an engineer or filmmaker, but not the social activist. So there are many stories why. But in this particular day, I want to share just one story. When I was in grade 10, I was studying here in Kathmandu, and I actually belong to a place called Rukum. Rukum is one of the most rural places of Nepal. It is undeveloped, and the quality of education over there is not so good. And if you go to Rukum, you'll feel like you have gone 50 years back. Like, if you go to Rukum, you'll feel like, oh my God, I'm on the Stone Age. Like that kind of undeveloped. So I have my friends back in Rukum. I moved to Kathmandu for the quality of education. In grade 10, I get a phone call from my village, and my grandmother told me that my friend, who was 15 years old, had a miscarriage. She was 15 years old. I was 15 years old. I was working hard to get that A+, but she was having miscarriage. Can you relate? The stress over there. I was stressing for marks. She was stressing for miscarriage. You see, just because we were on different place, where one was developed, another was undeveloped, we had different storage. So these are the stories like this that motivates me to go back to my place and do something against child marriage, because I don't want another girl to go through what my friend went through. So that's the why I am social activist today. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Vidhi Kohli. I'm from India. I'm 19 years old. And there's no story behind what I'm doing today, but it's just an observation. Like we talk about no poverty, no crime, zero hunger, sustainable goals. But what is the base which has created this? Like, what are we doing to reach this certain point or certain level to achieve these goals? This is all related to education, and I would like to mention that there's a very fine line in being literate and being educated. You people are graduating, you will get degrees, and if you observe it very carefully, your degrees never mention that you are an educated doctor, or it never mentions you are an educated advocate, but it does mention that you are a qualified doctor or a qualified lawyer. So this makes sense that literacy is another part, but being educated is another part. And I would like to mention this thing that I read this case because I'm a law student. I am on to it. I read cases on daily basis. There was this doctor who abuses his patient. So being qualified, can you call him educated? And another person, a cobbler, who wants to make love with his wife, but the wife denied because she was suffering from some ailment. And the cobbler understood, the husband understood that yes, if she's saying no, it means no. Because she's my wife, I need to take care of her. If there's a girl who is sitting in a cab at late night and the cab driver knows that I need to drop her safe at home, this is called education. Their literacy doesn't matter. Literacy is something that you read or write. Anybody who can read and write can be called a literate. But education is something that comes from your action. It does not say that you are qualified or something. And this comes from an observation, and I want to create an impact that yes, there's a difference between being literate and being educated, and you should be educated than being literate. Thank you.
Hello everyone. Okay, my name is Kevin Inistito Sregar. I'm from Indonesia. Born on small city in Indonesia. a year ago, I didn't believe with the yard contains the word and yard can do the movement. Yeah, it was on 18 years old ago. 18 years old. So, what I do? I'm currently as the brand ambassador of several international model United Nations, and this is what I'm doing because why I want to be the brand ambassador of the international model United Nations. Actually, many of you have the program, many of you have the innovations, but I believe when it comes with the movement, first you have to change yourself. You have to find yourself that you are in the movement itself. So basically, a year ago I joined my first MUN, and if I can join MUN, so why others don't? So basically, I just want to expand the movement of the expand the impact of the MUN because MUN I can confidently speak in front of many people, and that is how I educate people, but in the informal one. And I believe that by using the term of MUN, people can realize their motivations, and people can realize that they are capable of doing something that they want to. That's it. Thank you very much.
So everybody somehow touched the part of education and having that knowledge. So in your perspective, uh, let me start with Bidhi. Uh, in your perspective, what do you term, which you have already mentioned, few examples of what education is. But we all teenagers here, and we want to pursue education. We want to build our career. So, in your terms, in your perspective, how do you term a well-educated, or what should we be doing to be well-educated?
Hello. Yeah. So I would like to relate your question with one of the examples. Like I teach on weekends when I get free the underprivileged children. So what I realized that they are unaware of what the government is providing them, basically. So and it is the reality that today if I teach 50 of them, only 5 or 3 of them will be succeeding because of their parents support them. They have a better financial condition than others. But what about the rest? They might land up with wages in their hand, they might land up being a laborer, or they might not get a job even. So do they not participate in taking our country up? Only those 3-4 people are participating in taking our country up. No, that's not the case. And where I think that education is the process and literacy is the step. We can say that education is a ladder, but literacy is the step, first or second step. And further you learn in your life. So talent is something that comes up too. We cannot always late that if you are a qualified person or if you are getting literacy, it's good, it's very fine. But you need to have that perspective. Today, if I am over here, if I didn't have this much of confidence in speaking, then what do my qualification do? I am going to be a lawyer. I need to litigate. What will I do if I'll keep my mouth shut? Simply. And if someone of you is aiming to become a doctor, what if you don't know how to treat the patient, how to make sure that your patient is comfortable with you? You can't just do anything with your qualification. So you need to be a good human from inside. The values you need to learn as well. With that, you will develop skills and everything. And for that, you need networking. You need to talk to people. You need to indulge more with good perspectives. You need to know the bad perspectives. Because if you don't know the bad perspectives, you will never know how to boycott them. Today, I am seeing that government is providing lots and lots of funds to the people, to the children. But the children doesn't know about it. Then what's the matter? What's the thing of doing all these things? So we just need to aware them more for the better way of better education.
Thank you. So, again, talking about education and then thinking of something in Rukum where girls are being kidnapped to get married because the boy wants, right? And that is such a pity moment, and what Prasansa is working towards eradicating or eliminating that. So how do you term education to be a part of what's happening in Rukum, and what's your perspective, because you have been working in the ground, on making these people understand the real scenario of what happens and how to eradicate that? Yeah.
So, kidnap marriage, child marriage, these are very dynamic terms, and they might be easy to understand by definition, but when you go in the society and you talk with the people, you listen to their stories. 18 years old girl, she's infertile, she's about to get a divorce. When you listen to their story, looking into their eyes, it's a lot more than just definition or a sentence. So what I have found from my research is that people are educated in terms of they know how to do integration, they know how to do derivatives, they know how to add, subtract, or read a sentence or read a paragraph. But the teacher who is teaching those things has committed child marriage of his daughters. So is it about what we learn in the class? We say literacy is the problem, this is the problem, environmental problem, we say, oh, there's no education. But then, is education really is the problem? No. It's about the cultural education. You see, there are so little things that we learn in class, so little. We can learn so much from the society and how it is functioning. So, in a society where a 13 years old girl has only seen child marriage, she has not seen marrying at the right age. So to her, the education or educated decision about marriage is you have to get married before you turn 18. That's an education that she has received. So how can we change it? We have the problem, now we find the solution. That's how it works, right? So for that, we have to create the awareness in terms of not only going in front of them and telling them all the right things, but also teaching them how to practice it. I personally, when I started it, I didn't have any fund. I did the project on my father's salary. So with little what I did was I took the projector and I showed them documentaries. I showed those young girls and boys, okay, this is what happens if you marry at early age. You might love someone, you might do runaway marriage, or you might love a girl and you might kidnap her. But after that, life is not going to be easy. You're going to have, miscarriages. You're going to have this many health problem, and you're going to have this many economical problem. And you might not have a job. You might have to go to this Qatar and these countries to do labor work. And when you give them that picture, this 13 to 19 years is the age of inspiration. You show them, you motivate them, and they're going to do it. Aren't we all here because we got motivated by someone, inspired by someone, right? So that's what I did. I tried to inspire them, motivate them to be different, not be something their brother or sister has been. I think that was my step to give them educational decision about marriage, give them a little bit of a social perspective. Yeah.
But where do you want to take it forward? Like, yes, taking up these big things of deforestation and others, it takes a lot of years and moving forward. But how do you plan towards at least them feeling, okay, we are a bit okay and not being affected by pollution, or else we'll all start wearing the mask of oxygens and moving ahead, right? So what is your perspective towards how do you want to take it forward?
Thank you for the question, sir. When we started this campaign, actually in my about 7 years journey as a social activist, what I have learned is people will not follow what you teach them. People will never do that. Never ever. I have taught hundreds of people that child marriage is harmful. We have been working on a concept of child-friendly local governance, and I see every year it's happening. I have taught thousands of people about environment conservation, what they can do, a small step. But again, it's the same. So one thing is that you do not teach people, you make them understand. When we are taking up this campaign, first of all, many people ask me, is this an organization? So we say them, it's a concept. First, you take it upon yourself. First, you make you capable of saying, yes, I consume my oxygen. So when you are talking about destruction and development, it's destruction and development, they go contrary. Like now you gave an example of Nisgad International Airport. See, when we are thinking about development, we bring destruction without any plan. Like in the case of Nisgad International Airport, it feels so sad to say that government of Nepal it has planned to clear away 8,000 hectares of forest, sal forest. Sal trees, they are strong wood trees and old trees, 8,000 hectares. And that 8,000 hectares of land, forest, it lies in the chain of forest that starts from Uttarakhand to Nisgad. And it hosts several number of national parks and conservation wildlife reserves. So, see, but the amount of land we require for the airport is just 1,300 hectares. So what I mean to connect here is when we are thinking of development, we are disregarding the nature. So I guess that's where sustainability comes from. The concept of sustainability, it's all about making our resources sustainable when we develop ourselves. Because development is a never-ending process. 50 years ago to now, we have developed to an extent, and it will go on. It will go on. It will never stop. Once we reach the moon, then I guess we will think of going to somewhere else, which is even not discovered yet. So this will go on. But see, if we go on moving in the same way, in the same reckless way that we are going, I guess most of us will not see our grandchildren. I'm saying that with much sadness. Like, I worry I won't see my grandchildren because I do not believe on us that we will keep anything of this nature alive, I say, for our grandchildren to see. What are we doing? Isn't it our responsibility? Most of us, like when Shaw asked, is there anyone not affected by pollution? Wherever you go. Even I am affected by pollution. I am having several allergies. So, this is a part of my selfishness too. See, when we are doing things, especially about environment, where we want to take this is every individual understand or take over their responsibility that they have. I'm not teaching you, I'm not giving you your responsibility. The responsibility that you have as a human is to be taken by you. So our campaign, our concept is to teach this to people and to make this sustainable. We are working with the government, sir. Like in my local level, the local level government, we have already tied with them. Damak municipality has been working in the concept of green city, prosperous Damak. And then we have started this campaign, this concept in the community schools. This is the first term, like a pilot concept. And then we will be going this. So, like, if we teach every teen or every child, it will be for the rest of the life. I believe so. So, our aim is to teach children and teens that environment needs to be there, nature needs to be there for you to be there.
Great, thank you. So, what we just heard is from Nepal, India, which a lot of people sitting in this room know the scenario very well because we are familiar with these kind of system. But we also have panelists from US and Indonesia. Let's wait for hearing from US, but first let's hear from Indonesia on the same 3 different topics of education, kidnap or child marriage, and environment. How is these things taken in Indonesia by youths or by teenagers? Or is there any sign of child marriage, kidnap marriages also in Indonesia? Because what we believe is also Indonesia also has a very long history, a very cohorted uh, community with a different tier of peoples moving forward, and also, so what's the youth's perspective in Indonesia about all these three things? If you can just briefly mention all these three things. Thank you.
Thank you for the questions. Actually, in Indonesia, maybe I start from child marriage. The child marriage is not happen in like not happen in general. Like these not mentioned in the media, and this case is not really happening in Indonesia actually. But if we take a look in deep, take a look in the several parts of Indonesia, child marriage still happen. But you know what? There is no like a specific movement from YAT about the child marriage itself that currently happen in Indonesia. But actually, I become motivated because the program from the Nepal one, there you take care about the child marriage concept itself, and you know about the child marriage itself. The government just start to prevent these situations, but it just used the term of education itself. You know what? We know that education is so important, and education is the great step to take to start to change the issues that happen in the country itself. And after the education itself, the concept of education in Indonesia is about the curriculum itself and so on. But there's so many voluntarism movement from the youth in Indonesia, but that they are taking tensions about how the level of education in Indonesia could be improved. And there is so many unlucky children, for example, child street that didn't have that proper educations, and there's so many voluntarism movement from about it. And about the environment, actually Indonesia is one of the country with the forest, the percentage of the forest place. There's so many forests actually, and we know that the concept of climate change, and climate change is being one of the hot topics now in the world. And you know what? In Indonesia, actually, we have that proper program about the environment movement, but there are still many yet didn't think that they are responsible with the environment itself. Still, it lack of attention from the yard about the concept itself. So basically, the environment movement start from the yard who think that they are capable of that things, but the movement itself just come from the yard who think that they want to engage with other yards itself. There's still the term of voluntarism itself. And the last one is about I forgot the questions. The last one is about the educations. Okay, you know what, the education level in Indonesia, maybe we have that great curriculum, and every year we always improve our curriculum and improve our educations. But yeah, it's just like a formal education. So we know what, there are so many kind of educations, like informal one and formal one. But I just take let us be focused on the informal one. Still, we use the term of voluntarism movement. Currently become one of the voluntarism in the name is Garis Tawa. This about the voluntarism about the educations in the term of how the yard who think that who still not got the proper educations, and we from college student engage with these organizations, and we engage with the community who think that they need the proper education. So yeah.
Great. So what he was mentioning is the situations are quite similar in terms of Indonesia as well, though it be environment, education. What he was mentioning, education, informal and formal, not skill-based, but curriculum-based. What we read in school, learn in college, mug it up, give exams, and that's it. And then we are talking about socio-perspective, bringing out perspectives. How do we bring out perspectives if we are just into books? Books does not only give perspective. Perspective is all about practicalities, right? So Maudan would be more familiar because of the US education system in terms of making it aligned with the vocational, also the practical education towards what you are studying. So if we can have the first-hand experience of education which is outside the Asian periphery, and how it is being helping, or what are your perspectives toward education, environment, and also about the child rights and everything in US?
Um, okay. So all three of those issues are issues in the U.S. If I start with child marriage, it's not my area of expertise. I know there are advocates and activists who talk about the issue, but I don't have as much insight or knowledge about that. I can definitely talk about the climate crisis and climate change and how that's affecting youth in our country. So one of the biggest movements right now for the climate crisis, there are two. It's the Sunrise Movement and the US Youth Climate Strike. And climate change is it's an issue that I think the US has contributed vastly to, and that it's not going to affect the US for a little bit. It's going to affect countries that didn't contribute to it, and we're going to be able to live in a bubble until it gets bad and affects us. And so what I think is really interesting about US activists, or that there's kind of this supplemental curriculum that we all kind of engage in, and it has three pillars: connectivity, integration, and respect. And starting with connectivity, what I realized in working with all of these activists is that storytelling and listening is the basis of all of the work that we do. And because the US, again, doesn't face the problems firsthand, a lot of the problems that we advocate for, we don't face firsthand, we have to do extra work to make sure we're listening to the people it affects. Because if we try to come at it from a perspective in which we don't have the firsthand experience, we will create solutions that don't help anybody but ourselves. Next is integration, right? So I talked about listening, and from there, incorporating that feedback. If we're creating solutions, it needs to be alongside the people it's affecting. And lastly, it's respect, understanding that we only have the cultural knowledge of the US, we only have the cultural perspective of the US, and we need to go outside of ourselves, because often the work that we do is so US-based. There are so many issues in the US, and we stay in that perspective in a lot of the work that we do. So when it comes to more of these global issues, it's really about trying to integrate those three things: connectivity, respect, and integration into what we're doing. As for education, our education system, it's good and bad at the same time. I think we have very good parts of our education. When we look at some parts of our college systems, we have great colleges, much too expensive, but good nonetheless. But I think the issue with education is that it has the context of the US, and what we don't realize is all the issues, especially in the US, whether it be gender inequality, whether it be racism, is in every part of what we do, and it shows in education. It's very apparent in education, in the way we talk about what has happened in the US, and the way we look and understand the other parts of the world, and the way we fail to uplift and empower and listen to voices of activists or of innovators from around the world, and I think that's an issue in education. So I feel those are the three issues and how we kind of look at them in the US.
Basically, of how things move in different countries. And I also see few people dozing down, getting into the sleeps. So we were much more into perspectives, so it became a heavy topic, right? So let me cool down the topic a bit and then ask these people of what the real youth, general, the teenagers, think and what they want in their country. So please be very frank, be very cool about it, and tell us what is the priority. And on this priority, I want you to prioritize 1, 2, 3. Only 3 things. Number 1, number 2, number 3. And I want you guys to generalize it. Don't think as an activist, don't think as an entrepreneur, don't think as an inspiring teenager. Think as a very layman and say us, what are 3 priorities of the teenagers in your countries?
This is a difficult question indeed. In my view, the teenagers of Nepal, okay, making a list. The first one, I think, in a general context, the first one is they themselves. Like, they are just forgetting everything and enjoying their life, what I have seen in general. The second one is a little bit of like making their career.
I want you to be more precise and not say that enjoying yourselves, but what? What exactly? Make it verb. Let's learn the grammar as well. Let's make it verb.
Now this made me thoughtful. Okay, let me say about my priorities. So I am also part of the generalization. So first of my priority is studying. Second one, yeah. Second one, sharing what I have, what I learned. And then last one, networking. And then another one, the fourth one, that small extent. It's, now how do I say it? It's like forgetting everything and just chilling.
Again, he did the same thing. So I expect you guys not to do this thing. Just 3 things, very particularly. Yes, well done.
So it's very similar, actually, for youth in the US. The first one is listening, or learning, maybe I'll say learning. And we see that through just how connected we are. Through social media, you end up learning so much about the world. The second one is sharing. We share our lives, we share our stories, we share who we are, and again, using social media. And the last one is enjoyment. I think there is, or enjoying if we want a verb. But we prioritize being able to have fun because we are in a space and in an age where we have all these people doing all this work, and so there needs to be a time to enjoy ourselves and be silly. So.
Are we guys being good enough or very diplomatic? Anybody from audience want to do a volunteering job for this, and then I will ask the rest of the panelists.
I want to answer it.
You want?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody of you who wants, please keep thinking. I'll come back to you as well. Yeah.
So talking about priorities, if you had asked me this question a few months ago, I would say prioritizing to keep up with Game of Thrones, the last season. But I can co-relate with something like that. Right now one of the most priorities of youth is to watch their favorite series, to have me time, to enjoy themselves. And I personally enjoy it, and I think that's not bad. You know, we need to have me time. That's one. Another is to get degree or bachelor's degree or master degree or pass your grade 12 exam. And along with that, side by side, also another priority is how to pass exam within by studying, you know, overnight or just before exam. And last one is, I think, finding a social validation. Where do I lie in the society, who I am? I think it's not only mine, but everyone. You know, we constantly are searching for our place in the society. I think finding social validation is the last one. Yeah.
Great. Bidhi.
Yeah. So, being a teenager, first is money, priority. Every teenager wants money, wants to earn money. Second, not to study, not to take burden, priority. That we try our best not to study, we try our best to escape. And third would be we don't like interruptions. We don't like objections to our thoughts. These are the priorities of teenagers, like what teenagers actually think. That what they want is they don't need anyone to interrupt them. Either they are doing it wrong or either they are doing it right. They don't even need the suggestions. But the thing is that the society is objectionable. They will do that thing, and we need to exist in it, in that situation. So money, no study, and no objections. Priorities.
No objections.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Maybe yeah. Same. This question was too hard. It's so hard. Okay, because maybe the first thing because we have to be responsible for to our parents. So in Indonesia, mostly the first one is we have to learning and studying, and many of them take just you know what the GPA one and about that things. Yeah, we have to study in the first one, and second is about enjoyment and being chilled out. Like you, like many of us have really have our perspectives on anything, and we love to do something, and yeah, we just do it freely. And yes, still we have the rules, and but the first thing is we have to do it freely. And the last one is maybe
Don't be diplomatic, please.
what?
Don't be diplomatic.
Okay,
Get it done.
okay, okay, sorry. The last one is I agree with Fidi. The last one is no objections. We are what we think we are, and don't ever think that people like whatever people judge you, you have your value, and you can be yourself, and that is how people know us. Like that is how that is our brands, and yeah.
Great. Anybody? You guys are not here. No diplomacy. Yeah, please. Can we get a mic here, please?
Yes. Hello. Yeah, this is Zafar Wasim from Pakistan. So as we were discussing it and listening to that, three things that there are or priorities of youth in general, everywhere like we see it. So in Pakistan, as much as I have observed and I'm seeing it, the very first one is learning. Learning, it's not like just to studying. Like we want to learn whatever we see, like get it. Secondly, mentioning that making money. That's true. Come on, guys, open up. And as sir mentioned, don't be that much diplomatic. Yes, we are international delegates representing our countries here, but as the excellencies they have left, it's their job to do that thing. So what we are doing right now over here. As we know, yes, everyone knows it. What's happening around in US, what's happening in Indonesia, India, Nepal. What are our priorities? Like, out of so many people, just we're here right now. But if you see it in general, the last one out of third, learning, making money, and the third one is revamping, modifying words. We're looking for change. but changing our own lives. This is where we have to look out for. We are changing, making more money, getting new cars, doing that, making all life better, changing, but we need to work on that, and we need to just learn and get into the concept of inclusivity. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Anybody else? Yeah.
All right, so I'm Iwo Hachulski from Poland. So I would just share with you a Polish perspective in this issue. And I would start from the third place and conclude to the second and the first one. So the third one, from what I've seen, would be just doing what you love, especially. An increasing number of people is understanding it. But still, lots of people, it's more focused on priority number 2, so making money. Simple as that. I think it's like same all over the world, that people would rather make bigger money than do what they love. And it's like really, really problematic issue. But still, it's like, from my perspective, I would rather make smaller amount of money, but keep doing what I love. Share my story, and just being better and better and better. But the first priority, which I see by myself, and actually which was not mentioned before, is being respected. Like everyone all over the world is just trying to be respected in his or her community, because if this issue is not fulfilled, our soul, our self-being would not be satisfied. Simple as that. And that drives, I would say, all of our life. That drives us to making our life decisions. Unless we are respected, unless we are having people's attention, everything's all right. But when we start dropping it, problems come. People get into depression, anxiety, and all those things. So I would say that definitely, actually, being respected, being seen as a person worth knowing, worth interacting with, is the biggest priority. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So yeah, let's now, you want to add up? Yeah, talk. 1, 2, 3 words.
So hello everyone, I'm Lakshya Chhabra from India. Very briefly, I would like to add up that, people these days do not want change within their selves. I believe in a concept called human revolution, which means changing our own selves to bring a change outside. So people are not really, they do not accept that fact. If you point someone out, if they're doing something wrong, if you want them to change, they won't really accept that fact. They would just say that I am like that and I like to be like that. They're not very acceptive of that fact that change is required from within to bring a change on the outside. Right? Thank you.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Thank you for saying that, because I was expecting that as an answer somewhere. Because when we work with a lot of teenagers, youths, and everybody, saying something different, do it in a different way than what you want, is a very difficult thing these days. It wasn't difficult 3 years back. 3 years back, when we were to work as volunteers, we were to work as organizers, or anything, we started as volunteers and gradually moved on. It was very easy for us to understand that we need to do this, right? Because learning, experiencing change was a part, and respect was a part. Now, the respect to others have come the otherwise. It has come to respect to me. We should understand as a socio-perspective panel, and what we should take it from what we have listened: being educated, being environment friendly, not demotivating girls, being change agents, is about changing yourself, changing your perspective. You can't say change others' perspective. First, you need to change yours, right? So that is what I wanted to mention with this panel. And we have about 10 minutes, and these people are looking at me to cut it down. So 10 minutes, and I would like to have about 2 to 3 questions, if you have any. Do you have any questions to anybody in the panel? Or anything that you want to say to the panel or say about socio-perspective? Yeah, okay. So please, your question, your name, what you're affiliated with, and briefly the question. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I am Vaibhav and I run my startup company called Success Society International. My question is an open flow for all of my wonderful people in the panel right here. And my question is simple. In your countries, what efforts are being done, or any precise project that you have seen that is trying to make education more practical and skill oriented? And if there's some real precise initiative, rather than being into principles and thoughts, a precise initiative that has brought a change, I would love to know about that. And my second question is simple and it's kind of informal, and that is that when we are teens and when we are change makers as sitting right now, do we feel demotivated at times? And when we are demotivated, what do we precisely do to get ourselves pumped up again?
I would like to request everybody here to answer it in a very brief manner from your perspective. Maybe we can start with Kevin.
Okay, the first questions maybe is about the practical educations that happen in Indonesia. Actually, the practical educations we have informal way, we have the vocational educations come from the government, but in the informal way, still, what I have mentioned before, we have the volunteerism movement, and there are so many organizations, youth organizations and movement that that put it on their role, that have to be responsible with it. And maybe based on my experience, this practical education is about how to, because this social panel, but maybe we know that the entrepreneurship want and how to make how this entrepreneurship could be implemented in their life, except the formal educations one. And the second question is about how the teen in the Indonesia is
Pumped up,
Oh.
even if you are demotivated sometimes. What
Okay.
are you doing?
Thank you for reminding me. Actually, you know what? When it comes to, I felt like in the middle of the journey, I believe that I didn't have to be in this role. And you know what? Sometimes people think that if they are already in the journey, they think that it's just wasting their time. You know, for me itself, I just revert back to my motivations for the first, that when I believe that I want to be the brand, I want to, like, these MUN have to be, like, the MUN impact have to be expanded to others. So why I have to be stopped in the middle of the journey? So back to my first motivations, and after that I have to be responsible for the society. If there's someone who already motivated about the MUN, and if I stop and I believe I become pumped out in the middle of the journey, do you think that I'm responsible for the yacht who already joined the MUN itself? So it's just like you believe that you have to be responsible for everything that you have done before, and you think that you believe with the sustainable one, and yeah, that's become the things that interesting for you. Thank you.
Yeah, so your first question was that what is the education society sort of a thing which is prevailing. So basically what I do as an individual, I don't run any organization or something. I'm just an individual person who go and teach children. But after that, like after some time, I got connected to this one organization. It is consists of the student volunteers from colleges, from different colleges of Delhi. The students are together and they are running this organization called Live to Give. Live to Give, okay. So what they do is they teach underprivileged children only, and they not only teach, they actually teach them in a very different manner. They teach them gymnastics, they teach them singing, dancing, and everything, and they conduct an annual function sort of thing in a very good hall of the colleges. They get funded by the government as well. They are not registered. They are no NGO. They are just the collection of volunteer students who contribute by from their pockets basically to keep these children awake and keep these children up. So what we actually do is the children were actually the beggars. So what we do, it's very difficult to come up with the mindset or to change the mindset of people who are not intending to change. Their parents have this mindset where that what will he do with this study? Does it, will he earn? Are you giving us guarantee? And what if he not earns? You will give us money? No answers to that. It's just that you need to change the mindset. Why don't you ask your children to come up? Why don't you ask them to come on the stage and talk about things? Why don't you motivate them to study? You are just telling them, go and earn money. That's why I mentioned that money is the priority of the country teenagers, because they need to earn to live. They need a standard of living, and money can provide that. That's the only solution. So this organization lives to give help children from their own pockets. So, and the second question was, what was the second question? Okay, okay, fine. So, first thing, when I get demotivated, I would like to say it in Hindi. पहले तो मैं ये सोचती हूँ कि भाई तूने क्या कर लिया? अच्छा, फिर then what I do is I talk to my mother. My mother, like everyone's mother, parents are good motivators. So my mother really motivates me by saying this: what if this is not achieved? Do they have anything to lose? Do they have anything to lose actually? What you have lost? Because there's nothing that you have earned and there's nothing that you have lost. It's just that you will be earning further. You will be earning respect. You will be earning honor. You will be earning the hearts further. But there's nothing that you have loosened up in this. It's just that you are not successful. You have not loosened anything. So that keeps me motivating with the time and go.
So to answer the first question, what are the amazing initiatives that are happening in our country? So we have got, that was the question, right? First question. What are the... Well, I don't think I have much in-depth understanding about that, so I better not give any opinion to it. So I'm sorry about that. To answer the second question, what keeps me pumped up? What motivates me, right? As I'm a filmmaker, let me tell you a story. So it was, I think 1 year ago, like I said, I belong to Rukum. Rukum is a hilly region. We have got these big hills, all right? It's not a plain. And we don't have road transportation over there. We have not developed that yet. So whenever I have to go to do the activism, I have to walk at least 3 to 4 hours up the hill, not plain, you know, it's not walking like this, it's walking like this, up. So, and we have got rivers too. I have to cross river to go to schools. So it was beginning of my campaign. I had just started my activism, and I had just crossed the river. My half of my body was wet, and then, you know, I had water in my shoes, and that's so annoying, right? And then I'm walking. I had already walked for 1.5 hours, something like that, and I was walking up the hill. I was sweating. All my t-shirt was wet due to sweat, and then my stomach was hurting. You know, when you exercise too much, your stomach starts to hurt. It was hurting. I was carrying this big bag with school supplies, with pencils and papers, and then I'm walking like this. At that moment, I just stopped. I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, I was, I think, 16 years old kid. I had choice to be in Kathmandu, be inside my room, and watch, you know, Netflix, some shows, you know. I could have watched 13 Reasons Why. I would have enjoyed myself. I could have my little me time. But why did I come to Rugam? Why did I choose to cross the river and have water on my, you know, shoes? At that time, that was the demotivating moment in my life. I just wanted to go back home, but I didn't, because I have stories. I told you in the beginning of the session that my 15-year-old friend had a miscarriage. My 14-year-old aunt was victim of kidnapped marriage. She was victim of marital rape. All of my friends, they have kids now. And my guy friends, they're going to Qatar for doing the labor work. They don't have, they don't have bachelor degrees. So these are the stories that, push me. If I reach this school on the top of the hill, I might save 5 lives. I might inspire them to be better. So that's motivates me, guys. Yeah.
So I'm going to try to keep this short. As for the first question on a specific education initiative, I work for Student Voice, and they're a nonprofit that works to embolden high school students to get involved in leadership and to do and make the decisions that affect them. So that is something that makes it practical because they are doing the work, they're organizing, they're talking to teachers. That's that initiative. As for what motivates me, I think when I'm demotivated, there's 2 things that I do. The first one is self-care. This work is very grueling. You hear a lot of stories that are painful. You are constantly educating yourself on what's going on in the world, and a lot of that is negative. So stepping away from that, being able to be in a space that is happy and joyous and go have fun, that's the first thing. And then for me, why I do this work and what motivates me is people. So I always return to talking to the people who I advocate for, or that type of work. So I always return to asking them, I always return to figuring out the impact. I return to talking to people, and that reminds me why I do it, and that makes me inspired to continue.
Talking about the first question, like if I know any initiatives that have been working to make education more practical, well, I have heard of, I haven't met them, but I have heard of teenagers and youth friends that teaching like HTMLs and other technical subjects to children, and like teaching them with what they can do with those things, making them self-sufficient. So I've heard of those initiatives, but I haven't been involved and included in them. So I think I keep a limited knowledge in this. Well, talking about when I get demotivated, I have got demotivated 100 of times. Because when you're working, like first when we started working on the topic of environment, people do not understand environment as anything. Like it's none of their priorities, it's none of our priorities. So at first, when we used to conduct cleanliness campaigns and such, the response from people, it was, I cannot explain that. So that used to keep me demotivated. And then later on, when we started in the sector of child rights, like we used to have child workers. They were working on tractors and street children trekking drugs. Last time when we went for rescue, we got a 12 or 13-year-old child. He has been taking drugs. It has been about 5 years, and I was shocked to hear that, So when we're working on that things, like we get a lot of demotivation, because these children or their parents, they do not believe in us and they question us. And then those very moments that we don't see any scope of that. But at that time, what I do is I just count in my head, like these many things we have initiated, these many things have succeeded. Some have been failed and some demotivations are there. So when a lot of people are being benefited by just me giving a small effort, why shouldn't I? And also, like we have juniors who are working in the child club. So I see them, like they are being motivated from us, and then they are working. If we stop someday, won't they stop? I guess, so this is what pushes me forward to continue my work. Thank you.
So, I hope everybody answered your question. Yeah. So, any last question we have in the hall? Yeah. Can we have a mic there, please? Please direct your question to one person and just the question, please. Thank you.
Okay, this is Prince Gupta from Janakpur, and my question might be out of the box. Simply, I want to ask What do you mean by quizzing? And is quizzing a part of human revolution? Anyone answer? Is quizzing,
Cuisine.
quiz,
Quiz.
yes.
Quiz.
Is quiz part of human revolution? And what, in your perspective, quizzing means?
Can you explain that question to me in Nepali, please?
हाजिरी जवाब भनेको के हो? अनि ह्युमन रेभोल्युसनमा हाजिरी जवाबको के रोल हुन्छ?
Okay, thank you. So, that's a very difficult question. And I don't know how to answer that, but I'll give this opportunity to Prajesh. So, Prajesh, you understood the question, right? So, the question is, what is quiz? So, any quiz, though it's be from general knowledge, mathematics, Olympiad, or anything, which is about quiz, and how does it help in human evolution? Okay, so yeah, Prajesh, do you have any insight on that?
Thank you for the question. Well, okay, let me remember. I just remembered a Sanskrit sloka. It is called Bade Bade Jayate Tattvabodha. Quizzing, you said. Quizzing means asking, taking. Isn't it?
There are the means also.
Okay. So, in that context, like, the least I could try to connect it with human revolution is that when you, like, this is a sort of quizzing, you know. We are sharing our insights. So, learning from two individuals and connecting it to a topic, I think that can help in human evolution.
I was just thinking what to answer to your question.
I guess I answered you,
Yeah.
sort of.
Somehow. So, quiz is about questions and answers, and human evolution is also about questions and answers. One thing that I want to mention to your question is, we always ask one question to everybody, and it has been used in a lot of advertisements and everything. Is the egg first or the chicken first? So that's human evolution. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, awesome panelists. Thank you so much, audience, for bearing us. And do you have a question? Oh, I see two hands, but I'll give that priority to the girl because we had two boys. So yes, the last question. And make it please very, very fast. Mike, please. And those guys who were waving off your hands, please ask the question in next panel, please.
Hello and namaskar to everyone over here. I'm Kamna Paudel. I'm from Kalika Manav Gyan Secondary School, which is located in Butwal, Rupandehi, basically. So my question was, we have discussed about many problems here, like child marriage and environmental issues, and we have been working on it, right? So what we have missed, I think, is the people now are not aware about humanity. We are humans, but we are not aware about human virtues. I realize that, right? What are all the problems like environmental issues and child marriage that are because humans are not aware about humanity till now. I feel that really every day. I feel that when I think. And I just wanted to ask is that how concerned you are about teaching people about humanity, because all the crimes, all the problems that we have been facing is because of humans, and they don't realize what humanity actually is.
So, Bidhi, you go and teach to students. So you would be a right person to answer this. Do you teach your students about humanity?
See, these children whom I teach, they already go to school, government schools they go. I act as a tutor to them, but beside providing them tuitions, what else I do is teach them the law of the country, the human rights, the how to behave, what is good touch, what is bad touch. She's your sister, she's your mother, how to treat them. If there's a girl who is not in your concern, nor your relative, how to behave with her. Or see, none of your qualifications teach you not to litter on the road. Who will tell you? There's nothing. I study contract law. I study whatever laws which our country is taking. But there's no law which says that you don't need to litter. So this is something which comes up with while education, while talking, while telling, yeah, this is the moral right, or these are the values and humanity, obviously. There was this thing, I was making the video of this child who was asked that, what are you aiming at? आप बड़े होके क्या बनना चाहते हो? And that boy said, इंसान. Human. So see how innocent they are, and they want to grow well. They want to be very nice. So this is like humanity is there. You just need to see it. And if it's not, create it.
Great. So create it. We know there are a lot of things in society that is not there. And that is why you guys are here. Right? Because you guys are those change agents who try to make these changes in society, and humanity is one of them. Vaibhav was sharing yesterday that he makes at least 5 people smile every day, right? So that's a part of humanity, and there are a lot of things a lot of people are doing. Amazing. Thank you so much. It was amazing talking to you. Thank you so much. Over to you, Rupsi.
Oh, mic testing. I wish this panel discussion never ended. Thank you all for ending this panel discussion with such a beautiful message. Also, thank you to our expected moderator for making this panel discussion so interactive and engaging. Also, I would like to thank our panelists for sharing your experience on how a small step can bring a huge impact, be it in child right activism against child marriage, or saving our environment to curb the pollution and so on. I'm sure by now we have a far more understanding about what our priorities should be as a teenager. And I particularly was amazed by the idea of knowing the difference between being literate and being educated in precise. So thank you to our panelists for such an insightful panel discussion. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, can we please have a huge round of applause for them? Now I would like to invite Ms. Prisma Pokhrel to join us on stage, for we are now about to felicitate our speaker, our moderator, and our panelists with token of love. For that, I would like to invite Ms. Ranju Magar to kindly step ahead and to do the honors. Ms. Ranju Magar is the program assistant of YY Glocal Teen Hero. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome her with a huge round of applause. Let us keep the clap coming. The stories of these amazing teenagers are not only giving the example, but they are also sending out the message that teenagers are truly the change makers of our society. Thank you all. Can we have a group picture together?